Good morning, everybody. 8:30 on the 16th of September 2025. It is Tuesday, 8:30 in the morning. Yes, I have to apologize. You know, I'm quite obsessed with this deal about Charlie Kirk. I think a lot of people are. And one of the reasons is, of course, it's exemplary of things that are going on today. Problems with the United States, of course. Hey, my bench is open, at least from right now, unless there's somebody coming. Yes, but I have to also draw, there is a historical preference or reference to this. It's this sort of thing. And I have to first, before I get more into that, is I have to quote the words of Jesus. There is nothing new under the sun. And what this quote has always meant to me is that anything that is happening now has already happened in the past as a precedent, for example. And that's one reason why they use this word and this notion of precedence in law. Like, has this happened in the past? And can we use this as a reference to decide to make a decision in the present? And one time I can think of that this happened in the past, but this was a time when the world was a lot more authoritarian. And this is the time in ancient Greece when Socrates was made to drink the hemlock poison to basically kill himself. He was made to commit suicide. And like I said, in those days it was a little bit more authoritarian. And even in Athens, Greece, there was no such thing really as Athenian democracy. It was not really what you would call a democracy. Whether it's Pericles or anybody else, things were not democratic, as a lot of people might think it is. And then again, is democracy actually a good thing or not? And times it might be, and times it won't be. I guess you have different governments today. They apply it when it's to their benefit, and they don't want to apply it when it isn't to their benefit. And if anybody in the media or out in the public starts crying foul when they're not applying democracy, they're ignored, of course. Anyway, but I'm talking about a little bit of something different anyway. This is about death, killing. In a sense, Socrates was assassinated as well. And what was his crime? What was the crime of Socrates in that ancient time? His crime was he was influential with the youth. They said he was corrupting the youth. And that's why they made him drink the hemlock. Well, what about Charlie Kirk? Charlie Kirk, well, this is an influential guy talking to the youth. And nowadays, I don't know, is it more simple just to kill the guy? And a lot of times it's not. But then if you were going to kill this guy, you got to find the very best experts to do it. Or else the experts, when they're the ones that are the aggrieved party, and you guys all know who I'm talking about. I've mentioned this, and so many other people are talking about this too. Yeah, they did the killing themselves, which they always do. George Galloway, you start looking at some of these other videos by these truth activists. George Galloway, Candace Owens, and I'm looking very much lately at Kim Iverson, mostly because I put out a video, and mine was a lot longer, of course, and Kim Iverson put it very succinctly. I guess she made a short, and she was basically saying most all of the same things that I was talking about. And like in my video yesterday, I was talking about, and I've mentioned it even probably in my first video about Charlie Kirk, about the trajectory of the bullet. And they show us where this killer was at, and then they show where Charlie Kirk was at. They didn't even mention the fact that Charlie Kirk was sitting under some sort of an awning, a shade thing. And I'm even wondering, could that killer even have seen Charlie Kirk from that distance, let alone take a shot at him? And then the bullet seemed to have come, and what Kim Iverson was saying, from Charlie Kirk's right side. In my opinion, it was from his left side. You know, when that girl was stabbed virtually in the same place, she was stabbed on the right side like a couple days before. And a lot of people are mentioning some sort of a parallel, you know, that they died virtually from the same wound, that this artery was cut. And, you know, that's even kind of weird there. You know, normally when we're made to believe, oh, like a bullet here or a bullet in the temple, you know, is the more popular ways to put somebody to death instantly or whatever. And then when you get them here, they don't die instantly. It takes seconds or whatever like that. And Candace Owens was saying that it's kind of symbolic that they got Kirk here because it has a lot to do with his voice amongst the youth and things like that. So but Kim Iverson, she put out a video, and there was a lot of kind of shocking things there, and then maybe some things, you know, that kind of woke me up too a little bit. And then they're showing you this film footage of the alleged shooter, and they show him limping once, and people are saying, oh, he's got the gun, the top part of the gun, or at least, or the gun itself, down his pant leg, and you know, you can't bend your knee so like normal, so he was limping. And then even in that picture, it's like, it's hard to believe that the guy, he was wearing kind of tight jeans, you know. And that's another thing about changing clothes. And is it the same person? It's a lot like the JFK thing, when they're putting out all of these decoys and distractions and things like that. So we're not really getting, this is a lie. This is a total lie. Everything about this is a lie. You know, we don't know. Who is to determine which of these facts, which of this evidence, which of these photos are the accurate ones, and which ones are not accurate? And who knows? There is somebody that knows, definitely. Whoever the perpetrator is, they know, obviously. But anyway, it doesn't look like this guy has a rifle down his pant leg when he's walking. And then they show this supposedly Charlie Kirk at this Tyrone Robinson or Tyrell or whatever this guy's name is. So the alleged shooter, they showed him at 8:30 in the morning approximately, wearing shorts and a maroon shirt or whatever. And then they showed him later wearing jeans and a dark thing, you know, and it's so important to change clothes. And then they said he changed clothes on the roof, and this crazy stuff. And then of course they're talking about a drone that flew over really fast, and you know, I don't know about that one, because that drone obviously, in my opinion, could not have even seen Charlie Kirk. Like I said, there was an awning over the top of Charlie Kirk. I think he was sitting towards the middle of it, and you can't see Charlie Kirk through that. But maybe, you know, with heat, they have these heat detectors, and you can see the heat. And then of course there is technology they've had it since the 1980s with it's absolutely incredible that they can see through the different floors of buildings, and they can see somebody in the basement, like an x-ray sort of a thing. I mean, this stuff sounds like it's very difficult to buy, but it's absolutely true. They even say they have drones the size of mosquitoes that can get into a room and listen and record and kill people. I don't know if that's true. The Air Force, the United States Air Force, said they were going to have that, you know, but that's something different. I remember back in my day we had these things, and back then nobody would believe that. We had these things, little laptop things, very small, like 12-inch laptop deals, and I believe the name at that time was, how I remember it, was DMDG. But anyway, we called them digital message sending devices, and it was gone up through and we had this in my unit. We had it. It goes up through satellites, and then it goes down. And I think you can even send this stuff from Europe all the way to the United States through satellite relays, and you can send this information. And even that was even in my unit, believe it or not. And you type this stuff in, how many tanks the person has, how many troops, and all of what you're seeing, you know, and you're all camouflaged with these little keyboards, and you know, you're feeding out this information, and even then I think we had these laser pointers. You know, you mark a target, you know, you press this little button and it marks this target, and then you get away, for example, and this target stays marked, and you can send a missile from the United States all the way to Europe to destroy that building that was marked with that laser pointer. I mean, that's some really crazy technology. So I'm not gonna discount anything that this drone possibly could have had something to do with this. So maybe it was just visual, and maybe it wasn't armed or whatever. And it's all this crazy stuff. And then don't forget, like these guys doing these hand signals. There's two of them, and they're standing kind of in what I would say behind and to the right of Charlie Kirk. Kim Iverson was saying different directions. Maybe it's as you face Charlie Kirk, then it would have been to the left. I don't know. And then there was a couple, a man and a woman, and the man was standing slightly behind this woman, and it was Kim Iverson brought this up from somebody else, putting this, as far as I know, maybe on YouTube, but it showed this one guy with some sort of it was a cell phone. It looked like a cell phone. To everybody, it was a cell phone. And then it turns out they have a device maybe invented some years ago. I don't know, what did she mention a date? I don't know, was it 2013 or whatever? And they could make a gun look like a cell phone. And it was kind of looked at, and it's just a very strong possibility. I mean, to me, it's almost the most compelling possibility of how Charlie Kirk was assassinated. But anyway, this person, as we saw the blood come out on one side, and this person was standing on the other side, and this was the same side where these people were standing, but a little bit to the back. And then there's some crazy kind of movements even afterwards. But these guys were on the same side as the ones that did this shot. And apparently these are supposed to be like Charlie Kirk's bodyguards, or at least one of them was, supposedly. Somebody said, you can dismiss that completely. They're completely loyal to Charlie Kirk, so they can't be involved in this assassination at all, But you ever heard of a guy named Judas? Again, I'm going back to the time of ancient history and mentioning someone connected to Jesus. And, in a way, Charlie Kirk, and people don't get me wrong, but he was, there's similarities between Jesus and Charlie Kirk, and Socrates and Charlie Kirk. These people are like basically informing people, and they're influential. They're influential people. And Jesus was basically assassinated as well. And these people apparently that assassinated him, the ones responsible for it, it wasn't necessarily Pontius Pilate who said he washed his hands. It was those that insisted on the killing of Jesus. This is some crazy stuff. I'm sorry to be filling you guys with this stuff. And along with that, that was Candace Owens, and I put out in other videos, and I'm talking about, we're told to refer to Judeo-Christian society, Judea. And she was basically in a little haste, but I don't think she dared to even go too far on this, but she was a little bit scoffing about this too. Why did they say Judeo-Christian? And then Bibi Netanyahu, obviously, he came out, he had to mention Jesus, and he says Judeo-Christian, and there's just way too much crap. And when you listen, if you know Bibi Netanyahu, Satan-Yahu, it's like, I'm sorry, but I don't trust anything, not anything, out of that guy's mouth. To me, and I don't know, get me wrong if you will, I don't really care, but, and I'm not out to advocate anybody getting killed or anything like that, but this guy, to me, I don't see that there's really anybody that is more evil on planet Earth than Benjamin Netanyahu, who can advocate and try to justify the killing of innocent children, baby children, innocent people and children, and And Charlie Kirk was even mentioning, as I said, and this is why bothers me so much. He didn't say the words. He didn't say the Hannibal Directive, but he basically described the Hannibal Directive. You know, killing. I mean, what is the difference even between him and Zelensky sending literally hundreds of thousands of his own people? I guess the number they say is 1.7 million people to near certain death in the task of killing a different type of people. So killing your own people, and then like burning out people, maybe even hiding in cars at that concert on that October 7th, and then having Apache helicopters flying over them and burning all the cars and everybody that's inside of them, having tanks, you know, believing that there is, maybe there's a Hamas member inside of there, but there's definitely more Jewish people in there, and having tanks fire shells into the house because there might be a Hamas person in there, even though they absolutely knew there were Jewish people in there. And then putting a fine on people, putting a fine on Israelis for even going to the press and even mentioning anything whatsoever. You know, you obviously they probably would say, unless it has to be pro-Israel, it has to be pro-Bibi Netanyahu, you know, and all the people. And I'll bet you even anybody that, if they ever, and I don't even know that any I think maybe the Israelis have far more integrity than this. They didn't even come right out and say, it was Hamas doing all this. I don't think any of them even said that. Hamas was raping and all this. Anybody that was involved in that, any of these people that were there, I don't know if any of them ever said that. But they were so scared of people telling that Hamas was not doing it. So they put so you have to pay a huge fine if you even talk about it. Putting a fine on your own people. I guess that's real democracy, right? Is shutting people up. You know what? And what better way is to shut people up is to kill them, I guess. This is really some crappy stuff. This is why this stuff really bothers me. You know, and I'm sorry about that, everybody. You know, but this to me is really shocking stuff. And this assassination of Charlie Kirk and maybe the exposure of what Charlie Kirk was starting to expose. And of course, to me it's obvious. They had to get rid of Charlie Kirk before he was sending this message and more people would listen to it. No, he had to die while most people still believed that he was a pro-Zionist or in favor of Zionist Israel. So, but they killed him at a particular time where a lot of people still recognized him as maybe somebody who was against radical Islam, which he probably is, and I don't know, maybe everybody is. But if he started getting this message out, I mean, there's just way too much shocking stuff. And apparently it's absolutely true that they were very angry at him for even talking with Tucker Carlson and having Tucker Carlson on his show. And Candace Owens alluded to the fact that this invitation for him to go to Israel was them saying, this is your last chance. You know, and I guess they were ready, apparently, to pay him massive sums of money. And apparently they bankrolled him at the very beginning to this $40 million. And Charlie Kirk, I guess, that he was turning was whatever. And then I mentioned yesterday also about Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro coming out and trying, you know, he's creating words and feelings around everybody that now they should all flock to Ben Shapiro, and look at Ben Shapiro as the successor to Charlie Kirk. You know, when Charlie Kirk was putting out an exactly opposite message of what Ben Shapiro demands that everybody be completely loyal to Israel, to everything that Benjamin Netanyahu does. Obviously, if I'll tell you what, if Charlie Kirk got 40 million, you know for a fact that the super rich Ben Shapiro is getting vastly more. And it was even Charlie Kirk that put out, I guess maybe even days before they killed him, about huge sums of money and all these crazy things about Epstein. That Epstein, supposedly people were supposed to look at him as some great big financial genius, And everybody that was talking to him found out that he didn't know much of anything about finance. He was no financial genius at all. And then people saying, well, where did he get this money? And Charlie Kirk said he was definitely a Mossad asset. And now you see, strangely enough, Donald Trump and all these people are saying, no, he was not. He had nothing to do with the intelligence agencies. But in fact, when he was brought in for pedophilia crimes, the judge let him go because the judge was told by federal agents of the United States that he was an intelligence asset, and that the judge said, I was forced to let him go. But all of a sudden, he's not an intelligence asset. This is all some really crazy stuff. So, it's people like truth activists, people that are able to get a lot of these facts. I'm not really one of them. I'm reporting what a lot of other truth activists are telling us, and trying to sum it up to a lot of you people. And I'm trying to make sure that most everything that I'm saying is accurate. I'm not really trying to get as many viewers as possible. But I tell you what, like I said, I do this for therapy. And I just really hate, it's not the United States going down the toilet. It's all humanity. I don't really like seeing all this stuff. I have a lot of more respect for the truth, and trying to see the world, trying to get back to a harmonious balance and stop the hatred. You have to hate Russia. You have to hate these people. And I don't like a lot of things. I don't like this trans movement, and I don't like this stuff where they're trying to force everybody into thinking, oh, God made a mistake and you're supposed to be a woman, or you're a man and you're supposed to be a woman, or a woman's supposed to be a man, or whatever, or you're supposed to be a fox or some kind of crap like that. Oh, God should have made you an animal, So I'm a fox, and you even see people that are like that. Identify. I like cats. I don't identify with being a cat. I think I identify with cats. I actually do. I understand them quite a bit, but I don't identify with being a cat. Oh man alive, I don't know what the heck they're doing. And some people say, oh, it was in the shot. It was in the shot. Why everybody's going crazy? Again, I'm making some long video. I'm going off on some sort of a tangent like that. But man, oh meter. I guess they think some of this stuff, they must think you're really, really stupid to follow this stuff. I mean, they really must think you're stupid. And there's people, I've met stupid people. You've met stupid people. I hate to call people stupid. I would never say, oh, you're a stupid person. I mean, I would do that to leaders like Ursula von der Leyen and so many others, And then I was watching Kim Iverson, and even Candace Owens, and I was saying, well, these are really intelligent people. They're intelligent people. They're giving us some good facts. I like Tulsi Gabbard too. There's some that I really do like. And say, well, how come they parade these real stupid people up in front of us and they tell us to believe them? It's most of those that are in the European Union. They have some really crafty, devious women in America. You got Hillary Clinton and you had Victoria Nuland, and these people, in my opinion, there's a lot of evil in these people too. They got their objectives and they're out for their own agenda and things like that. And this is it's to me, it's definitely evil. But what about these smart people? And of course, they're all pushed down. I think Abby Martin was one that I liked before. I don't know what she's been doing lately, but anyway, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to make us think that women are they're either incredibly stupid or they are devious and cunning. I don't know. Is that the objective? And then, like I said, you look at these great women. Even Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard, sadly, she's in a predicament right now, and I think she's got to play the game. And if she doesn't play the game, she's going to be, what the Germans say, weg vom Fenster. They take her away from the window, and she's, has to relegate herself, maybe. And I tell you what, to be just influential to a certain extent, and of course they can curtail that. They can nip it at the bud a little bit. Maybe they'll let you get like if you're on YouTube, get you 1 million views or whatever, like that. You never even know if any views are real views or not real views. And along with that, I tell you what, I put up a video yesterday, and and I even showed somebody that was right nearby, and I was looking when I first put up this video, and it was a short period afterwards, and I had 11 views, and then I looked the next time, and it was 9 views. And then I looked another time, it was 13 views, and then I had 8 views. And it's like, what the friggin' crap is going on here? You know, my views, and obviously, it's very, very, very obvious, and I don't even know why. I'm not any big, people don't really listen to me, except for the few out there. And why does YouTube do this stuff to me? And it's like obvious to me. And other people have even pointed it out to me, and they kind of looked at me and they laughed and said, you had 67 views and now you only have 54. People unsee my videos. It's gosh. And there were people that were, that had, many thousands of views. I don't even know. 20,000, 50,000, I can't remember. Maybe it was, matter of fact, it was definitely over 20,000. And they were here in Belarus. And they noticed, and they even said, they made another video on YouTube saying that those of us, they didn't say, let me add a little bit, that are speaking English-speaking people that are doing videos from Belarus, obviously they're putting us down. What they were doing, they were killing his subscribers. Like he was losing, I can't remember it, like some hundreds of subscribers every week or something like that. They were taking his subscribers away. I don't really know how they can do that. And it's really strange because I don't think they've taken any of my subscribers away. Sure, some people drop out. I can understand that. So, I was at some time, but slowly it goes up, and sometimes I get some and then I lose 10 subscribers. And it's just, I don't know, the whole thing is really strange. I don't even want to, I just know what I'm telling you, that I'm losing views. People are unseeing my videos. Absolutely incredible, And I'm not saying I'm some great popular guy that, what I like to do, and it's kidding around, that I like to say that, oh, Kim Iverson saw my video and she put one out, like that. And this thing about the trajectory of the bullet, and that's where I was at before I got on my tangent here. But it's, at least Kim Iverson, some people are now starting to talk about it. I said it the very first time. I said it doesn't make sense. This guy was straight on, and yet the bullet comes from the side. But it turns out it's very, very probable. Like this one, and maybe that was the gun. I don't know. And these guys doing these hand signals, there's something really fishy about that one too. If I don't forget, I'll tell you about what I noticed in the video as well about that. This one guy and his partner, this woman who was in front, but he's apparently what they're saying when they were watching this video, that he tried to do it the first time and it didn't work, and then he holed up the camera again, and then the shot was fired right after these guys made these hand signals or something, and of course the bullet would have to go pass in front of these guys doing the hand signals. And I think one of the guys with the hand signal, as soon as the shot was fired, he stepped back. He took a very fast step back, and I was wondering, is that kind of a reflex that he knows where the bullet is going to be coming from? So and as soon as the shot rang out, he stepped back. It's kind of like a reflex, feeling like, obviously it's too late, but it's your mind saying, get back, a little bit too late after the bullet was fired. And one thing that was not addressed by anybody yet, and but of course, if that cell phone gun actually was the murder weapon, it answers the question that I was asking, but nobody else, that don't know anything yet about this cell phone gun, didn't ask this question. But if you ever been to a track meet, I used to run track when I was in high school. I did like it was 100 yards back in those days. Yeah, I'm pretty old. Before they started making it standardized, I think the whole world is, now 100 meters. I think that's a little bit further than 100 yards. But anyway, I used to do that. And if you ever watch any track meets anywhere, say you're sitting in the crowd and you're 50 meters away, 50 meters, not even 50 meters. Say you're 40 meters away. When you're watching them people, runners take your marks, get set. The first thing that happens is you see the smoke from the starting gun. You see the smoke from the starting gun, and then you see the runners start to come out of the blocks. And then you hear the shot. Then you hear the shot. The sound travels slower, obviously, than light. Light is faster. So you're watching this stuff before you hear the shot. And this alleged shooter is over 200 meters away. Over 200 meters away from Charlie Kirk. And yet, when you see this footage, you hear the shot at the same time as Charlie Kirk slumps to his left side. What I would say the left side, what Kim Iverson was saying was the right side, the opposite side of where the shooter was at, and the opposite side of where the blood was gushing. So let me get to that too in a minute here, because Kim Iverson actually addressed that as well. But you hear it simultaneously. You hear the shot and you see him slump simultaneously, which tells you it's very obvious, and nobody talks about this, and it should be talked about by the FBI. Obvious, it's very obvious the shooter was very close to Charlie Kirk. That's an undeniable fact. And everybody, any truth activist, if they do watch my videos, they should be shouting this from the rooftops. The killer was close by. And I don't think Kim Iverson mentioned this, or the person whose video that she was playing. I don't think they mentioned that, but it proves that the killer could have been that person, because they were very close to Charlie Kirk. Obviously, that's an undeniable fact. And I'll never ever say that the shooter, the bullet that killed Charlie Kirk, was this guy that was sitting on the roof, this Tyrell Robinson. And that's what went on. And then his confession, there's nobody, he will not confess to this crime. And yet his father supposedly said he confessed to the crime. And then there's somebody giving his father huge sum of money. I mean, we're talking like maybe $1 million. I mean, there's some sort of a talk about that this guy's getting a huge amount of money. And then it also makes you wonder, oh, maybe his trans boyfriend is also getting a lot of money. So this was some sort of strange thing. And I also mentioned yesterday, I talked about this guy, George Zinn, this one guy who they were arresting originally, this old guy who they say looks like me with short hair, and I did it, shoot me, or something like that. And a very strange thing is he was at that Boston Marathon shooting thing or whatever, or he said like days before that there's going to be no, it was not a shooting, it was a bombing, and then all of that stuff. You know, the guy, also patsies, they're trying to put it on these Chernov brothers or whatever, and of course they called it a Muslim or a Islamic fundamentalist killing, which it turns out it's not anyway. I mean, a lot of people saying that this guy, he was actually working, the older brother of the Chernov, he was actually an asset of the CIA, and the Russians said that this guy was visiting something in Chechnya or whatever, but he was doing that as an asset of the CIA, apparently. So it's all of this stuff, and I already mentioned a lot about that. Oh, that they said that his brother ran him over, when they show that the police are putting him in a police car, naked, completely naked, with handcuffs behind his back. Anyway, so that's all faked. It's undeniably faked. Somebody happened to have had maybe a cell phone camera and was filming that this guy was put into a police car, that they had arrested him. And his brother could not have run over him. And then it's strange that there is absolutely no interview with his brother. I don't know if they put him to death yet or what. He was supposed to get the death penalty. I don't know. I mentioned this stuff yesterday. That's beside the point. So you have to watch my video from yesterday. Not many people, well, actually probably a lot of people did. Maybe there was I don't know, maybe when I was watching how YouTube was doctoring my views, maybe even 500 people watch the video. So quite a few do. And maybe it's even some of these people that actually put out videos later. But let me get back to this trajectory and this fact that these guys might have actually had, and it makes a lot of sense to me, a cell phone gun. or a gun that looked like a cell phone. And the fact that they were on the other side, the blood gushed on one side, but they were on the other side. But apparently, and where they were standing, and that trajectory, where it comes in, where it could possibly come in, and where this comes out, and the fact that Charlie Kirk slumped to that side, it's probably it. And you know, I'll tell you what, they have this expression, you know, even in football, you know, when you want to steer somebody, where the head leads, the body follows, you know. So they hit him in the neck, very almost the head, and it caused his body maybe to slump over to the other side. And what we saw was the exit wound. And maybe where it hit him, it was not where that artery is, but maybe it pierced on this side of his neck, the artery, the very thing that actually caused this massive amount of bleeding. And it seems obvious to me that Charlie Kirk, he died in seconds, you know, and he didn't, I don't think he died on the way to the hospital. I think he was dead before they brought him to the ambulance. I mean, very sadly. And then, of course, I mentioned, like a lot of other people mentioned, that the very first tweet on planet Earth about Charlie Kirk's death, it might have been some people actually, you know, that were there in the crowd, but they say Bibi Netanyahu. And I don't even know what time it was in Israel at that time when Charlie Kirk was shot, but it's a very, very well-known fact that Charlie Kirk was going the other direction. He was no longer supporting what was going on in Israel. He might still have been supporting Israel. I think he said he's a supporter of Israel, but in truth he really wasn't a supporter, you know. It's like somebody stabbing you and saying, I love you, you know. I don't know. There was probably, I don't know, Charlie Kirk, I think he was even trying to explain what he meant, but he definitely did not like Bibi Netanyahu anymore. He was invited to Israel and he turned it down. He turned down all that money that they were offering him. And like Candace Owens, I think you'll get a lot. I think you'll get a lot from watching Kim Iverson and Candace Owens. And there's even other videos put out. I didn't even watch them. People that I really like. Former CIA people. And they're also everybody, virtually everybody, except for, of course, Ben Shapiro. Everybody is pointing at, it looks like Israel did that. It's like, to most of us, it's obvious. Israel did it. Israel is definitely, they're probably the perpetrators. Who is the master, like George Galloway said, the masters of assassination, and they have been for a long time, and they do it practically on a daily basis, is Israel. Israel are the masters of assassinations. They're the masters of killing, period, you know. And even then, with the Hannibal Directive, they even killed Jews. Normally, like I said, I remember even going back decades, many decades, when I've been watching, you know, things and seeing how this Israel is pulling all this crap off, and they never were killing any Jews. But this, as far as I know, is the first time. You know, Bibi Netanyahu is heavily emboldened. Everybody should know this. He's emboldened by Donald Trump. And you know, the main thing I guess Candace Owens was trying to get across, and I hope that she stays safe, and I hope all these people stay safe, is that the thing that was bothering Charlie Kirk the most is that Israel was controlling the United States. In a nutshell, that is exactly what Charlie Kirk was seeing and did not like, that the Israeli government was in control of the United States government. And if Charlie Kirk were here today and I were to ask him, I would say, do you think that Israel was controlling Donald Trump? And undeniably, what his answer would be, it would be yes. It would be yes. And that is what was disgusting Charlie Kirk. And Charlie Kirk was so influential, they had to get rid of him before he influenced the youth. as Socrates was doing. And as we all know, there is nothing new under the sun. This sort of thing happened in ancient times, and its own version is happening today. And it's so many people are saying this is going to happen again. This is going to continue. This is what's frightening. And who is next? You know? And Ben Shapiro, I am not going to give in. Oh, come on, Ben Shapiro. Yeah, of course you're not going to give in, because you're a... Anyway, I don't want to say it. Oh, boy. Anyhow, that's mostly all I have to put out. And I hope this was informational for you guys. And somebody wrote to me, I don't know, I think they're a new subscriber, possibly, which is a very strange thing because I don't think YouTube sends my videos to anybody to watch. And he said that he is, what is the word, forwarding my videos to other people. Maybe they're not watching it. Maybe they are, I don't know. Because as I just told you, it's an undeniable fact, and I've seen it. I see they're watching. I'm watching the numbers of views. And one time I was watching and it said 9 views and it rolls to 8. I'm thinking, what the friggin' crap? Somebody watched my video and just immediately now they unsaw it? I mean, come on, friggin' a-hole. You know, I can't believe this stuff. YouTube does this. I don't know. Also yesterday, I saw 13 views and then it was back 11 again. Well, come on, man. Come on, man, Joe Biden. I don't know. I'm really curious on how many views I actually really do get. But I don't know. Maybe they think, maybe I should be like a lot of these people, like even Ben Shapiro. I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep making the videos, you know. I should probably go to Rumble or something like that, because I think Rumble probably doesn't cheat their what is it called? Content creators. YouTube. And I told you guys yesterday, watch that video called The Circle, and Tom Hanks is in there and all that, and basically they're talking about Google, and you know, but it's like obviously, you know, I don't know, what a bunch of dishonest, you know, YouTube is a very dishonest platform. I'm telling you that, and weird that I'm saying this. You know, they'll leave my video up, but they'll make sure that they're going to roll back all my views to make it look like nobody is listening to me, that I'm some kind of conspiracy theorist or something like that. Anyway, thanks for watching my video, guys. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.